Good morning, it's Michael Gray with rnhealthcoaching.com. The following excerpt is going to be a part of my 4x4x48 David Goggins challenge. Basically, it's 4 miles every 4 hours times 48 hours. I started this on 4 p.m. on Good Friday and I ended on Easter Sunday 2020. If you can't do 4 miles, then you do 40 minutes or more of some type of exertional activity, whatever it is that you feel that you can tolerate for that amount of time every 4 hours. And it's actually quite challenging. One of my other biggest influencers is Lex Fridman, who is an MIT physicist and has the podcast AI podcast, which is artificial intelligence. And he took this challenge from David Goggins, as well as in between each of the iterations, he did a gratitude journal. So basically, that's what I did is on between each 4 hour interval, I did some sort of a distinct gratitude and made a video on it. So I have the full video, which is quite lengthy, and then I also have these excerpt videos between each one, which is what the following is. And thank you. Have a good day, and mend yourself, move, educate, nurse, decompress, and enjoy this lockdown. All right, this is number 4, which is social gratitude. Um, Social is different from relational, where relational or relationships are your primary family, friends, loved ones. Relational is a different level than social. So social is everyone that doesn't fit into that relationship category. Social might be the people that you work with, or most likely that is probably your biggest social outlet. Also, you have some friends that you've had for most of your life, or friends that are transitional and or situational. Uh, they may be long term, short term. And then there are strangers that are in these little microscopic pockets of life. Uh, I have a video on rnhealthcoaching.com, and it's entitled Smile First at a Stranger. And basically, it was me walking over the Ocean Springs Bridge in Biloxi to Ocean Springs. And I found that the people that look the healthiest and the happiest were always the ones that, when they came upon you, they may have a tendency to smile at you, or if you were to smile first at them, they're going to give you an intentional smile back. Whereas on the other side of that coin, uh, people that don't acknowledge even in these inconsequential interactions, walking near each other, those people have a tendency to look more unhealthy and to look just more unhappy and miserable. Now, of course, this can be dependent upon what's going on in your life and what's going on in their life. But as a general rule, you want to smile first at a stranger. This is even something that is a rule at the hospital that I work with. If you're walking down the hall within 15 to 20 feet from someone, then you should look up and just give them a nod, an acknowledgement, hello, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? The weather's nice outside. All of these little um, small things go a long way. Whether or not it's from peer to peer, or as in my field, from a professional or an employee to somebody who is a patient or a customer, depending on how you look at the business model. But more importantly, the people who are your chronic friends, the people who that you choose to be around, they're going to have the biggest influence on your life. Also, they are going to be kind of a mirror image to other people. Other people may gauge you by the friends you keep, and uh, I think there's good reason for that. So one of the common themes is that you are like kind of the equivalent of the five people that you hang around. So if you hang around five successful, positive influencers, then you are more likely to be a successful, positive influencer. Whereas if you hang around five uh, degenerate people with low self worth and low value and this type of thing, then you're more likely to be one of those people. So this is why if you're trying to make a major change in your life, you may have to shake it up. You may have to let go of some friends. You may have to choose new ones and get rid of some of those other ones. You can explain it to them or not. I guess that depends on what kind of person you are and what kind of value they've held in your life. But sometimes you have to let people go. And sometimes you have to intentionally go out and seek and find other people to bring in. So that might be short term coaches, short term trainers, and those people can have a tendency to make a big difference in a short amount of time. It's not something that you necessarily have to do for years, but just make one of those five slots. Maybe a nutritionist, maybe a personal trainer, maybe a therapist. Uh, so those are definitely some considerations for social gratitude. And since I work so much and my work life is takes up so much time in my life, a lot of my social outlet is with people that I work with, and I work with a great group of people, and we all pretty much respect each other, and we know that even though we're not picking up the phone asking them, you know, recipes and to go bowling on Saturday night, even though that we might do that at times, usually as a larger group. Uh, we're still friends during the day. We all have a respect for each other, and we know that if we needed something, if one of my coworkers was on the side of the road, I would go help save them with a flat tire or whatever it is. If they needed to talk about their family, if it was appropriate, then we may do that as well, just for decompression. And sometimes it's that's what friends do. Friends listen and don't judge and keep confidential things that need to be kept confidential. So I think that even though uh, they may be work social friendships, they're still important. And then I have a handful of other friends that I've had for a long time. And I try and stay in touch with them just as I try and stay in touch with my parents. But it's not as important to stay in touch as often for most part. Like I have a friend of mine, Randy, now, and I haven't spoken with him, heard his voice in a couple of years, and we spoke the other day, and the conversation was probably an hour long, and we kind of caught up, and it was almost like we had missed a day, even though it's been multiple years, maybe 5 years. I don't know. It's been a long time, too long. Uh, but we've seen what each other's been doing on Facebook and Instagram and that kind of thing, and it's not necessary for us to talk all the time because the history that we have, we know that we're going to be important to each other for the rest of our lives. So, uh, and I've got a couple of friends like that I've had long relationships with that I don't question whether or not they're going to be in my future because I know they are. And I have some other ones from earlier in my teens and early 20s that I wish that for us that it would have been a lifelong relationship, but for whatever reason it just hasn't. one in particular. I think that he distanced himself from me because he knew that I don't do drugs and I really don't drink and this type of thing. And he was doing uh, hard drugs at the time. And I felt that he was concerned that his influence on me, not that it would influence me to do drugs, but if we were together and he were to get caught for something or caught up in something, or God forbid the police came to arrest him for something and I was in his company, that he would get me in trouble and that would affect my future as a nurse or that type of thing. So pretty much once I got into nursing school and got a professional license, that's when uh, our relationship ended. And I'm not upset with him about that. It just made me a little sad. And I still appreciate the friendship that we had for the length of time that we did, which was 15, 20 years. Uh, and who knows what's going to happen in the future. And I still get to see what he does, and I'm sure he's still kind of keeping an eye on what I do. I mean, he was married and divorced and has a beautiful young girl that he takes fishing all the time, and I'm happy for him. He seems happy. He's got a career now of his own, and I've reached out to him to see whether or not it was time for us to maybe step back into each other's lives, but apparently it's not the right time, and that's okay. So basically, just having a gratitude for what is, and not trying to force a square peg into a round hole, and making sure that you make good decisions on the important aspect of who it is that you hang around with and how you spend your time. All right, thank you. It's 4 a.m. and this was social gratitude.